up, everyone! So now that it's officially Halloween month, it feels very fitting that the latest installment of the A Quiet Place franchise is now available to purchase in stores and online. I sadly missed this film when it was released in cinemas back in June. For whatever reason, I just couldn't squeeze a screening of this film into my schedule, but the good folks at Paramount and Substance Global sent me a copy of the Blu-ray of the film for me to give you a quick speedy review of. I've finally seen the film. I watched it the other night with Glenn, and I'm a little gutted that I didn't get to watch this film like on a big screen in the cinema, because it feels like it would have been a very fun movie to watch in the cinema, especially with it being set like in New York. But I was glad I got to watch it around Halloween time. It feels like a very good Halloween movie. So I'm here to tell you that if you guys are looking for a tense horror movie recommendation to watch this Halloween, then yeah, do check out A Quiet Place Day 1. This is the third installment in the franchise, but it is a prequel to the first two films, and it's not directed by John Krasinski, this one, although he has produced the film. Instead, it's the director of Pig who's taken over, Michael Sarnoski, who decides to tell the origin story of how all the events from A Quiet Place 1 and 2 transpired, like how it all began, really. Hence the day one of the title. And what better place to set the story where silence is golden than in the hustling and bustling city of New York City, you know, the loudest city in the world. Our story follows a terminally ill woman called Samira, played in this film by Oscar-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o, who doesn't have long left to live, but is still trying to survive this alien invasion. Even though it's pretty much the beginning of the end of the world, Samira is on a personal mission of her own to get from downtown Manhattan to Harlem to her favorite pizza place so she can have one last amazing New York pizza before she dies. Just realizing now, though, that Lupita Nyong'o's character in 12 Years a Slave, the film she won her Oscar for, was called Patsy, and in this movie she's trying to get to salvation, or personal salvation, which is the pizza parlor called Patsy's. Coincidence?
I think not!
And she goes on this journey from one side of Manhattan to the other with her cat Frodo and this other survivor that she encounters called Eric, who's played by Joseph Quinn, making their journey from one side of Manhattan to the other in silence, but encountering some obstacles along the way. So what did I think of A Quiet Place Day 1? I really dug this new installment. Director Sarnoski manages to retain the tense atmosphere of the first films, whilst also adding new textures and layers to the world building of the franchise. Having the film set in a quiet New York City was quite ominous. You guys remember seeing the footage of Manhattan during the pandemic and the streets were just like desolate? Well, yeah, it's kind of creepy when you see a city like New York City, a city that never sleeps, come to a standstill and a silence. If you've ever been to Manhattan, then you'll know that you can't go more than 5 seconds without hearing somebody honking a horn in their car somewhere in the distance. And because New York City is like a concrete jungle, you hear so much sound bouncing off the buildings all the time. It's a city of great acoustics. So yeah, it's one thing to have the first film set on a quiet, isolated farm. It's another to have it in, you know, a densely populated city. It just adds more suspense to the film. Like there's this one scene after the initial alien invasion where you see all these survivors walking down a street together to try to get to the docks to be evacuated. And there's so many extras and so many bodies on the street, and there's so much like wreckage around that you're just so nervous that if anyone just like trips or bumps into something or sets off a car alarm or anything, that it's going to attract the aliens. There's going to be absolute carnage in the streets. And yeah, it's just very nerve-wracking to watch. The performances in this are incredible. I think it goes without saying that Lupita Nyong'o always brings it, and she's no stranger to the horror genre, okay? She was, in my opinion, horribly overlooked for her haunting performance that she delivered in Jordan Peele's Us. And you really do believe that her character, Samira, is dying. Like, Lupita Nyong'o's physicality is so frail, and she clearly lost a bit of weight to play this role. And you can tell while she's trying to navigate this horrific situation, she is not at 100% energy levels. Also, Joseph Quinn is really good in this as well. Both of these actors are experts at conveying so much about dialogue, okay? It's a lot of eye acting. While this is a survival action horror film, there are some lovely human moments between the two of them. But yeah, it was a lovely pairing of Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn. They worked beautifully together. And also the cats as well. Me, I love a movie with a cat. Bonbon. Bonbon. Stop playing with the lighting. I also really enjoyed the bonus features on the Blu-ray. Okay, you get 5 segments plus some deleted scenes and extended scenes. Lots of interviews with the cast and crew. It really does explore the world building of this film. Like literally, they show you how they recreated New York City in London. That's one thing I didn't know, is that this film was primarily shot in London. They built parts of New York City in Leavesden Studios, and it does look very convincing. So much of this was also done practically, not just the sets, but also a lot of the stunts and action sequences. Also, as a proud cat dad, I just adored the segment which taught you more about the cats that were in this film that did all their own stunts and all their own acting. Yes, some of the best cat acting I've seen all year. This one was watching along with us. Seeing another cat on the screen was very exciting for him. That also brings me into like my one little nitpicky criticism of the film is that cat, Frodo, is the most loyal cat ever. Like, the things that this cat goes through and still manages to stay with its owner it just seems implausible to me. Like, it's a little ridiculous, but this is a dystopian horror action movie. Okay, we're allowed to leave our brains at the door. But yeah, there's absolutely no way that my cats would stay by my side if we were being chased by a monster. But like I said, it's just a nitpick. All right, let's ask them 3 questions. Firstly, would I watch this again? Yes, I would. As part of the A Quiet Place franchise, it feels very much in tone of the other 2 films, but also manages to find its own unique feel. It builds upon what came before, okay, because it provides more backstory and more world building. I still think that the first film is the best film in the franchise, but this is a solid installment. But yeah, I'd watch it again. I've already got a copy of it to add to the collection. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? Yes, I do. If you're a fan of the first 2 A Quiet Place movies, then yeah, you're probably going to enjoy this. If you're not a fan of those movies or not a fan of horror, then yeah, you might want to avoid it. And question number 3, what score to give it out of 10? A Quiet Place Day One is another suspenseful horror action movie, and in terms of the franchise, it feels right at home in this franchise. It doesn't stick out. It does feel bigger in terms of size, scale, and spectacle, but the story itself is still rather intimate, okay? It's still a very character-driven movie. So it is entertaining, it does feel quite tense in places, and the acting in this is superb, and also there's cute cats in it, so I'm gonna give A Quiet Place Day One a score of 7 out of 10. The film itself is now available to purchase in stores and online. And for those of you who haven't seen the film like me, I do think it would be a fun movie to watch at Halloween this year. That's how I experienced it for the first time. But yeah, as always guys, it is just one bloke's opinion. I'd love to hear from you. Have you seen A Quiet Place Day One? How does it rank for you in the A Quiet Place franchise? What do you have to say about this movie? Do let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, help me out with the little thumbs up button. If you want more movie, TV, and Oscars related content, don't forget to click subscribe, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Harefield, and I'll see you next time.